So this is just a quick tutorial walking you through the 4-4 working together and on your own. Feel free to skip it or come back and check your answers with it at the end. We're trying to journalize the correcting entries that we discovered during November of the current year, and we're going to use page 21 of the journal. So on November 1st, it says, discovered that a transaction for supplies bought last month was jeopardized and posted in error as a debit to prepaid insurance instead of supplies. So the first thing I'm going to do in my journal is drop down my date, November 1st. And then my document number here is M15. And now I have to find my two accounts. So if I'm looking, here is my first account is supplies. And then my second account is prepaid insurance. And now I need to determine which one is the debit because that's going to go first. So it says that it was posted in error as a debit to prepaid instead of supplies. So I want to be debiting supplies. So I'm going to drop supplies in here and then prepaid insurance on the bottom. And my debit is first and my credit is second. And remember, I don't need to fill these out if I don't want to. On my second journal entry, it's also the first. It is memorandum 16. It says, discovered that a transaction for rent expense was journalized and posted in error to repair instead of rent expense. So here is my first account. I've got repair expense, and then I've got rent expense. So I need to determine which one is the debit. So it was posted in error as debit to repair. So the correct one should have been rent expense. So rent expense is going to be my top one and repair is my bottom one. So rent expense is my debit for $5.50 and repair is my credit. And remember, I'll always have debit on the top and credit on the bottom. So my easy check here is that I only have one number per line and the top line is debit and the bottom is credit so that they're equal. In the next part, we're doing the same thing. I'm just having you type it out instead of clicking down the drop-down menu to figure it out. So I'm going to start with the month here. So June, and it is the 1st. And then I'll do my document number for my first transaction, which is M23. It says, discovered that a transaction for supplies was journalized and posted in error to prepaid insurance instead of supplies. So instead of supplies, that should be my debit. So my first account is my debit, supplies. And then they said they accidentally did it to prepaid insurance. And now I'm just plugging in the amount. And so my amount here is 150. So I should be debiting supplies 150, not prepaid insurance. And now if I go down and I do my second correcting entry on the first, it says, discovered that a transaction for utilities expense was journalized and posted in error as a debit to miscellaneous instead of utilities. So instead of utilities means that utilities should be my debit. So debit goes first, utilities, and I forgot my source document number here is M24. And I'll put my debit, $8.50. And that means this has to be a credit. Debits equal credits. And then this should have been miscellaneous. I'm just going to copy and paste. And that takes care of the working together and on your own.